November 30th, 2014, from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri, was the Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football in this AFC West matchup. And so the Denver Broncos would win the toss. They elected to defer, and the Kansas City Chiefs would get the ball first. They'd start off on their own 31. They went 3 and out, and they punted it from their own 36. So now the Broncos would take over on their own 26 with a little less than 14 minutes on the clock in the first. They were faced with a 2nd and 4 from the 32, and C.J. Anderson ran for 16 yards in the first down at midfield on the Denver 48. Then on 3rd and 6 from the KC 48, Peyton Manning went to Emmanuel Sanders. He picked up 20 yards on the reception. It was now a first down on the Kansas City 28 for the Broncos. Then on 3rd and 5 from the 23, Peyton Manning out of the shotgun went to Demaryius Thomas for the 23-yard touchdown pass as the Broncos put the first points on the scoreboard, and it was now Denver 7, Kansas City 0. So now the Chiefs would get the ball for the second time in this game, and they would go 3 and out for the second consecutive possession when Alex Smith got sacked for a 13-yard loss on 3rd down by T.J. Ward. So now after the punt, the Broncos would take over at midfield in Kansas City territory on the 48 with less than 7 minutes on the clock in the first. Then on 3rd and 6 from the 44, Peyton Manning found Demaryius Thomas for a 7-yard pass on the first down at the KC 37. C.J. Anderson then ran for 11 and was now a first down on the 26. Then on 3rd and 10 from the 26, Peyton Manning went to Wes Welker. He picked up 12 yards in the first down in the red zone on the Kansas City 14. Then on 3rd and 11 from the 15, Peyton Manning went to C.J. Anderson, and Anderson ran it into the end zone for a 15-yard touchdown pass. And it was now 14-0 Broncos over the Chiefs. So now Kansas City would get the ball for the 3rd time in this game. There was less than 2 minutes left in the first quarter. They had it on their own 31, but they would go 3 and out for the 3rd consecutive possession, as that is what they have done on all 3 possessions thus far in this game. So now they punted the ball, and Denver would take over on their own 33. With just seconds left in the first, C.J. Anderson ran for 8 yards on first down to make it 2nd and 2 on the 41 as the first quarter came to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Denver 14, Kansas City nothing. So now to start the second quarter, Denver had the ball on their own 41. It was 2nd and 2. They didn't get anywhere on 2nd down as Anderson was stopped for no gain, and he was stopped for no gain again on 3rd down. And now on 4th and 2, they would bring out the punting unit, but there was a penalty as there was a player out of bounds, and so they would have to punt the ball again. But then when they punted it this time, it would end up touching the Chiefs, and now Denver would end up taking over. So Denver would get the ball on their own 49. C.J. Anderson would run for 3 yards, and then on 2nd and 7, Peyton Manning went to Anderson, and he picked up 2. And now on 3rd and 5 from the 46, Peyton Manning went to Emmanuel Sanders, and he picked up 15 yards to the first down at the Kansas City 31. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 22, Thompson got stuffed for no gain. They would bring up 4th and 1 from the 22. The Broncos elected to go for it, and they gave it to C.J. Anderson, and he ran for 13 yards in the first down when he only needed 1. And it was now 1st and goal on the 9 for the Broncos. Anderson then ran for 5 yards, and an incomplete pass would bring up 3rd and goal on the 4, and another incomplete pass would bring out the new kicker for Denver, Connor Barth, as he put his first points on the scoreboard in his NFL career with a 22-yard field goal, and it was now Denver 17, Kansas City 0. So now the Chiefs would take over with a little more than 7 minutes left before halftime. They had it on their own 31. Alex Smith went to Dwayne Bowe for a 10-yard reception, and it was now first down on the 41 for the Chiefs. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 50, Jamaal Charles got stopped for no gain. Kansas City took a timeout, and now they would elect to go for it on 4th and 1 from the 50. And Jamaal Charles ran for 11 yards. We only needed 1. And it was now first down in Denver territory on the 39. Alex Smith then found the tight end Kelsey for a 19-yard reception. And it was now a first down on the 20. Then Alex Smith went to the tight end Anthony Fasano, and he caught it for a 20-yard touchdown pass as the Chiefs got on the scoreboard, and they cut the Broncos lead to 10 with the score Denver 17, Kansas City 7. So now the Broncos get the ball with a little less than 3 minutes left on the clock in the second quarter. They had it on their own 41. Then on 2nd and 9 from the 42, Peyton Manning went to Green and he picked up 10 yards and a first down in Kansas City territory at the 48. As this game went to the 2-minute warning in the first half, Peyton Manning then went to Sanders and he picked up 12 yards and it was now a first down on the Kansas City 36. Then a penalty against the defense made a first down on the Kansas City 31. Then a pair of incomplete passes brought up 3rd and 10 from the 31, and Peyton Manning went to Demaryius Thomas. He picked up 16 yards in the first down in the red zone on the Kansas City 15. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 6, an incomplete pass would bring out Barth to attempt a second field goal of this game. This one from 24 yards out. It was up, it was good, and the score was now Denver 20, Kansas City 7. Alex Smith would kneel on the ball, and this game would go to halftime. So at the half, the Chiefs trailed by 13 with the score Broncos 20, Chiefs 7. So now to begin the third quarter, the Broncos would get the ball first. They had it on their own 21. They were faced with a 3rd and 3 from the 28. Peyton Manning was sacked for a 6-yard loss by Justin Houston. He forced the fumble, and Coleman recovered. So now it's Chiefs ball on the Denver 23, trailing by 13 with 14 minutes left in the third quarter. But they would end up having to go for a field goal after 4 plays as Cairo Santos came out to attempt a 39-yarder. It was up, it was good, and the Chiefs cut the lead to 10 with the score now Denver 20, Kansas City 10. So now the Broncos would get the ball with about 12.5 minutes left in the third, but after 9 plays, they would end up punting from the Kansas City 39. So now the Chiefs would get the ball on their own 11 with about 7.5 minutes left in the quarter. Alex Smith then dropped back and he was looking for Bo, but DeMarcus Ware ended up intercepting the ball as Knighton tipped it at the line. And DeMarcus Ware was in the right spot and he intercepted it. And so now it would be Broncos ball in the red zone, starting off their drive on the Kansas City 13 with a little over 7 minutes left in the third. But they wouldn't get a first down or into the end zone, and now Barth would come out to attempt his third field goal of the game. This one from 30 yards out. It was up, it was good. The Broncos extended their lead back to 13 with the score Denver 23, Kansas City 10. So now the Chiefs would get the ball on their own 35 with a little over 6 minutes left in the third, and they would go 3 and out and punt it to Denver, who took over on their own 27 now with 4 minutes left in the third, and they would go 3 and out as well as they punted it. But on the punt, actually now is when it bounced off the leg of Cooper, and he was like looking backwards, and the ball just kind of took an awkward bounce. It bounced off his leg, and Denver ended up recovering. So the Broncos would get the ball with about 3 minutes left in the third. They had on the Kansas City 37. They would end up going backwards on an illegal formation penalty, and they would have it on the 42. Anderson then ran for 10 yards and then another 4 yards, and that was 3rd and 1 on the 28. They gave it to Thompson, and Thompson ran for 17 and the first down in the red zone on the Kansas City 11. Thompson then ran for 2 yards and brought the quarter to a close with the ball on the 9. So after 3 quarters of play, the score was Denver 23, Kansas City 10. So to open up the fourth quarter, the Broncos had the ball on the Kansas City 9. It was 2nd and 8. Peyton Manning went to Sanders, but it was another illegal formation, and so now it would be 2nd and 13 on the 14. And an incomplete pass. 2 incomplete passes would bring out Barth to attempt his 4th field goal of the game. This one from 33 yards out. It was up, it was good, as the Broncos now extended their lead to 16 with the score Denver 26, Kansas City 10. So now the Chiefs would get the ball with about 14.5 minutes left in the fourth. They had it on their own 38. Alex Smith out of the shotgun went to Avant. He picked up 11. Smith then scrambled for 5 and was now 2nd and 5 on the 46. Smith went to Kelsey. He picked up 8 yards in the first down at the Denver 38. And then on 2nd and 2 from the 30, Smith ended up running for 3 yards in the first down. That brought it to the 27. He then threw a pass to Jamaal Charles for 3 yards. There was a penalty of roughing the passer as Von Miller came in and just nailed Alex Smith from behind after he threw the ball. And so that roughing the passer penalty made it a first down on the Denver 10 for the Chiefs. And Alex Smith then threw it to Jamaal Charles, and Jamaal Charles made some moves. It looked like he was going to go down, but he extended his arm and was able to dive into the end zone for the 12-yard touchdown, as it was now once again a 10-point game with the score Denver 26, Kansas City 16. So now the Broncos will take over with a little less than 12 minutes left in the fourth. They had it on their own 16. C.J. Anderson ran for 16 yards and brought it out to the 32 for a first down. Then on 3rd and 7 from the 35, Peyton Manning hit Emmanuel Sanders for a 23-yard pass and a first down in Kansas City territory at the 42. C.J. Anderson then ran for 20 yards. It was now a first down on the 22 of Kansas City for the Broncos. But their drive would end up stalling on the 9, and Connor Barth would come out to kick his 5th field goal of the game. This one from 37 yards out. It was up, it was good, and it was now 29-16, Denver over Kansas City, as they extended their lead back to 13. The Chiefs now would get the ball trailing by 2 scores with 7.5 minutes left to play in this game, and they would end up going 3 and out as the Denver defense came up with a huge sack on 3rd and 13 from the 21 as Brandon Marshall sacked Alex Smith for a 12-yard loss, and that made it 3 and out as the punting unit came out to punt the ball to the Broncos, who now took over at midfield on the Kansas City 46 with about 6 minutes left in this game, but they would go 3 and out, and they punted it from the 41. So now Kansas City would get the ball back with a little over 5.5 minutes left on the clock. They had it on their own 16. They ended up being faced with a 3rd and 3 from the 23, and Alex Smith went to Kelsey and picked up 9 yards in the first down that brought it to the 32. They were then faced with a 2nd and 15 from the 27, and Smith went to Avant for a 19-yard pass and made a first down at midfield at the KC 46. Smith then dropped back and he went to Avery, and Avery picked up 20 yards, but then Raheem Moore blew him up, forced the fumble, and Roby ended up diving for it. It was almost as if he intercepted it, except he had taken steps with the ball, and so it was a fumble recovery, and it was the Broncos' ball on their own 31 with less than 4 minutes left to play in this game. They would go 3 and out and punt it from the 35, and now the Chiefs would take over on their own 17 with about 2 minutes left in the game. They brought it to the 2-minute warning. They ended up being faced with 4th and 19 from their own 8-yard line. As Smith ended up sacked on 2nd down. He was sacked by Wolf and Von Miller for a 6-yard loss on 2nd and 10 from the 17. And then a 3-yard loss on the next play brought up the 4th and 19 from the 8, and Smith was sacked by DeMarcus Ware, as now the Chiefs turned the ball over on downs, and all that was left to do was for Peyton Manning to kneel the ball in the victory formation as the Broncos go on the road to Kansas City and win in Arrowhead with the final score, Denver 29, Kansas 16. And with the win, the Broncos take sole place. They keep first place in the AFC West. If they had lost this game, there would have been a 3-way tie between the Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers. But now the Broncos are in first at 9-3, and the Chargers trail them by a game at 8-4. And now the Chiefs are in third with a record of 7-5. The Broncos are 3-3 on the road, and the Chiefs are now 4-2 at home. And in this game, Peyton Manning was 17 for 34 with 179 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Alex Smith was 15 for 23 with 153 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He also had 6 yards on the ground off of 5 carries. The leading rusher in this game was C.J. Anderson. Mr. Anderson had 32 carries for 168 yards on the ground. He also had 17 yards receiving off of 2 receptions and a receiving touchdown. The leading receiver in the game was Emmanuel Sanders. He had 6 receptions for 73 yards. Demaryius Thomas had 6 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown. And the leading rusher for the Chiefs was Jamaal Charles. He only had 10 carries. He had 35 yards on the ground. He also had 24 yards receiving off of 4 receptions. And their leading receiver was Travis Kelsey with 3 receptions for 36 yards. And on defense, the leading tackler in this game was Justin Houston of the Kansas City Chiefs. He had 8 tackles. He had 1 sack, 3 tackles for losses. And he actually defended 2 passes. The leading tackler for the Broncos was a tie between T.J. Ward and Brandon Marshall. They each had 6 sacks, and they had 6 tackles. They each had 1 sack. Marshall had 2 tackles for losses. Ward had 1. And the lone interception in this game came by the Broncos. It was Demarcus Ware who got that interception. He also had a sack and 3 tackles. Von Miller had 1.5 sacks and 3 tackles. And Wolf had a half a sack and 3 tackles. Quentin Carter had 4 tackles and 1 sack. The Broncos combined for 6 sacks in this game. Roby had that fumble recovery. The Chiefs had 1 sack in the game, and that was Houston who had that lone sack. So the Broncos dominated on both sides of the board, both sides of the ball and the board. They ended up going out to a 17-point lead, and the Chiefs couldn't make that up, as the Broncos were in the lead for the entire game. With the final score, Denver 29, Kansas 16.